So that is why I am hesitant about Jill Stein. And don't take it from me. Take it from someone who is Palestinian, who was recently denied a speaking slot at the Democratic National Committee or Convention, and who is now saying that she's being hounded by leftists and by people who obviously care about the issue about why she's not supportive of Jill Stein. What is she doing? Why doesn't she support Jill Stein? And that is Rua Roman, who is a state representative in Georgia, and she is very soft spoken. So I'm gonna turn this up, but she is giving a very succinct and very not AOC response to why she is still with the Democratic Party, despite it all, and she does not feel the need to join the Green Party. Take a listen. I thought this was great.
Democrats. There are county level Democrats. There are city level Democrats. Like in Georgia, for example, my county has the Gwinnett Democrats, but then there's also Young Democrats of Georgia. And then there's like the Democratic Party of Georgia. And then there's like each county has its party. And then there's like Young Democrats of Atlanta. Like there are literally thousands of Democratic organizations that are just not the DNC. And within those Democratic organizations, and particularly down ballot, more and more and more and more and more Democrats, in fact, the majority in a lot of these organizations are now very pro-Palestine. And they have been incredibly supportive of not just me, but other candidates who believe this way. And not just that, my caucus, my House caucus, voted or chose not to vote, or like voted against or like walked on a bill that would have defined anti-Semitism to include criticism of the state of Israel. The bill was going to pass anyway. And they chose to stand with our communities. 2/3. Not just that, even at the DNC itself, where it's supposed to be like a big rally, big party, big pep thing situation, even the most hardcore Democrats, the majority of them stood with us. Yes, there were hecklers. Yes, there were people who were very annoying and insensitive. And understand that the DNC is meant to be a rally. It is not meant to be a place to hash out differences.
So she's telling you right now that there's progress on this issue, that even though, and we know this from inside the DNC, even though the Kamala Harris, the campaign and the convention itself, they messed up royally by not having Rua speak on the stage, that inside there were people wearing buttons and people talking about it and standing in solidarity with the uncommitted delegates outside, that it wasn't like they were being booed. They were not being threatened. This wasn't a psycho, Zionist counter protest, right? Like that she sees on a Georgia statewide level and on a national level that on this issue, the electorate is moving, because of course they are, and that electeds are moving.
And those same people came out and stood with us and demanded that a Palestinian speak on that stage. So when you ask me why I'm still a Democrat, that's one of the many reasons. The other reason is there are no other viable parties on the national level. None whatsoever. They don't exist. And when people come to me and say you should join the Green Party, Jill Stein has been at the top of that ticket for 12 years, and she has yet to build out legitimate infrastructure and win down ballot races. 12 years. This woman's been around for 12 years. And she can't even grow out her base. And so I just think a lot about that, and it really makes me upset because I see a lot of you asking me to leave the Democratic Party, and I know you're probably like, how in the world can she still stay a Democrat? And the thing is, the DNC is not just it. There's so much more. And not only that, even Harris delegates, the most hardcore Harris supporters, recruited each other to become ceasefire delegates at the convention. The Young Democrats of Georgia gave me a standing ovation on Saturday, and they all, from that stage, talked about how the DNC messed up. So you tell me.
The Young Democrats of Georgia, like that's, like, I don't know, this is, Georgia. You can't imagine that the Georgia Democratic Party is all that like crazy left. But no, she's saying the Young Democrats of Georgia gave me a standing ovation and they all believe that I should have been on that stage. Like that does say something. There is a shift here, and Rua is a part of it.
When you have built that kind of infrastructure, why would you just quit? And the other thing is that the Green Party never asked me to volunteer for them. It was Democrats that showed up to my college campus to recruit us to become volunteers, not the Green Party. So again, I ask, why would I leave? And not just that, more Democrats today, even on a national level, vote against more weapons to Israel than ever before. We have not had a decrease. It's been a consistent trajectory towards no more weapons for Israel. So again, I ask, why would I leave all that behind? Because here's the reality. When we become the majority of the party, whether as voters, as elected officials, and when I say we, I mean those who think this way about this issue, etc., the party has no choice but to listen even at the national level. Right now, we're just not fully there yet. If people, and I'm saying everyone, especially our allies, had cared about this much, even just 2, 3, 5 years ago, things would be so different right now.
Yes.
But they care now. So why would I concede any ground ever on this? Why?
Because you're like, this is the difference between a real one and a grifter. Rua Roman is an elected official. She says she had been recruited by the Democratic Party to run basically as a young Democrat. She didn't even want to run, apparently. She didn't even want to be like a legislator, that she's seen all of this ground gained on this particular issue, on the issue, obviously, of Palestinian sovereignty and self-determination, about the occupation, about the amount of weapons that are, and we know city councils across this country have voted for ceasefires, right? They were way ahead of, I mean, when the Biden administration changed the definition of ceasefire. So here she is saying, why would I throw that away? And the reason that she would throw it away is for her own brand. That's why. She should throw it away for her own brand and to take a stand and to say, fuck you, Democrats. I hate you. And then she can, run as an independent, and she can be interviewed by all the lefty channels. She can come on this show, and she can create a big online following, and that'll be really good for her and her brand. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that good for Georgia? No. Is that good for the community that she represents? No. Is it good for the issue of Palestine? No. I'm so excited I just knocked over my water. I didn't have enough water in it anyway. I'm fine, people. I'm keeping it together. But like, this is not AOC, guys. This is a local elected official saying that she is building power in the Democratic Party. It is working, and she does not want to throw that away to stand on a lonely island of purity so she can pat herself and only herself on her back.
That makes absolutely no sense to me, particularly for somebody who, like I said, has been around for 12 years, and I have never been recruited as a volunteer by the Green Party, and I'm politically active. I've never been recruited as a volunteer by the Green Party. I've never seen them on our college campuses, at least mine. I've never seen them like try to grow out their base, because it's hard work. I want to be clear. This is hard work, and you need infrastructure. And when I talk about third parties and down ballot and being strategic, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, what are you doing outside of presidential elections? And I'm sure there are people in the Green Party who've been doing this for a long time, who do this year round, but the reality is the top of the ticket keeps failing them. And so again, for me personally, if I know that one party, there is only one viable party on the trajectory that I want them on, why would I leave that behind? And I want to be abundantly clear. We offered our endorsement in exchange for a place for a Palestinian on that stage. That was rejected. So for those of you who are still partisan and still watching this, y'all need to be yelling at the campaign, not at us. And people have every right to be angry about what's going on. I'm furious. But my long-term goal is to ensure that our coalition is strong enough and grows enough that even on the national level, Democrats will have no choice but to listen, because they are listening, especially down ballot. My colleagues are listening. The people I know are listening. The majority are listening. The amount of people that will send me messages like, I stand with you, are listening. But the other thing I need you to understand is I am the only elected Palestinian who currently lives in a red state controlled by Republicans in all three branches of government. I was on the front lines during Trump. Anybody who downplays a Trump presidency is lying to you. And right now I feel stuck. I literally feel like I have nowhere to go, because on the one hand, I personally was rejected by the DNC. And on the other hand, I've got somebody who is genuinely like an evil person. This is not, what do they call it? Like Trump derangement syndrome or whatever. No, this isn't. I literally was on the front lines against this man's policies. I watched it with my own eyes. My life was in danger. So please hear me when I tell you I'm not selling out. I have no political ambition. Anybody who is saying stuff like that is a liar, because these are people popping up who I've never spoken to before, who've never spoken to, frankly, any of the Palestinian elected officials before. There are people who are using my pain to virtue signal and convince you that the threats that we are facing are not actually that big of a deal. My philosophy is that if I can prevent the death of even a single person, I will make the decisions to do that. Period. End of story. I do not believe in the fact that just because things are bad, that it's okay to let them get worse. And you know who does that, by the way? AIPAC, DMFI, Kufi. They will never, ever, ever, ever punish a candidate, meaning get them out of office, without making sure that the person replacing them is going to be better on their issue. And we need to get to that we need to get to that point. Because the reason we keep progressing, like I saw people talking about the ratchet effect, about how, like, you know, Democrats try to hold the line.
Wait, hang on. Let me just interject, because what she just said was, the reason I've been quiet is because what she just said was fire, right? Like, she's like, don't anyone tell me that Trump is the same, because he's not. Because I've had my life threatened. I live in I'm a hijabi Muslim elected official living in a red state. I'm a Palestinian whose name is being used as a slur by the right, who elected officials are saying it's okay to push us off bridges and run cars into us. This woman would know. So don't ever say that it's equal and it's the same and no big deal between a President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump. Sorry. And then the other thing she's saying is that she is going to make the vote. She will do anything necessary strategically to prevent more death. And I know when we are in a genocide, it is very hard to see how it gets worse. But we have heard the word nuke being floated around. That's how it gets worse, right? It gets worse when there is no attempt at humanitarian aid, right? Like, there are many ways where it gets worse. Not a lot, but many, 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 many. And she is also thinking about lives in the United States as well. So I love this. I love Ruo Roman. She is now my favorite person in this country. I don't have a lot of favorite people. She is my favorite now. She is so smart. She's so strategic. She reminds me of some of the best organizers that I know that have been on this show before. She reminds me of the people who really do the day in and day out work. I don't. I fully admit that I don't. And I do think that a lot of people who squawk a lot online about Jill Stein this and third party that also are not people in the trenches. Like, if you are in the trenches and you're like, you know what, the best thing for me in the trenches would be voting third party right now, that's a different story. I don't hear a lot of that. So take it from AOC, take it from Ruo Roman. There is a lot to be lost in a Jill Stein candidacy. Not a lot to be lost if we take the money that has been given to the Green Party and we run local officials, right? I mean, she's saying, like, if they want to support my next campaign, I mean, she's not effectively saying this, but, like, what about the Georgia state legislature? What about state legislatures broadly? What about the California state legislature? I mean, we're so fucked over here, but the fact that we don't have a Green Party in California is a little weird, right? Like, we don't have a legislator who's supported by the Green Party. I mean, it's just a telltale sign that something is not on the up and up. It's not on the up and up politically. It's not on the up and up strategically. It's not on the up and up. And I see a lot of comments from people who I love dearly, Donald James, Mindy Graves, who are talking about ranked choice voting. Absolutely. It is about getting ranked choice voting, number one, in Democratic primaries, which I think is the first place we go. You know, you tell me what you think is more doable in the next 10 years, right? Getting rid of money in politics, specifically super PAC money in primary candidacies, which and races, which Bernie Sanders was talking about and is now talking about in the wake of the Jabal Bowman defeat and the Cori Bush defeat. Or ranked choice voting in primaries, right? Which necessitates going more positive, working together, and more representation. More representation. I say this a lot. I know it didn't work out in New York, but they were virgins at it, okay? Sometimes, you know, doesn't always go down the way you want when it's your first time. You know, they came too quick and they got Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like, so did his dad. But the point, I'm sorry, this is still the Bitchuation room. The point is that, and I say this a lot, but, you know, we nearly got an incredible, I believe his name is Mark Leno, and Jane Kim were both running for mayor of San Francisco. We narrowly lost to London Breed, who is a massive centrist neoliberal pro-cop mayor. She does happen to be Black, but that's pretty much where everything ends for her. But we narrowly got there because we had our CV. And we were, I mean, we could have pushed harder. We could have been more campaigning, but Mark Leno nearly won. So we nearly had like a real progressive like a true progressive to be mayor of fucking San Francisco. That would have been huge. So, yes to RCV. Yes to RCV. And thank you so much, Lady F&T, for catching me live and for gifting 5 memberships over on YouTube. That's so generous of you. Let's see. Andrea of Pennsylvania said, I voted for Nader in 2000 thanks to people like myself and a corrupt Supreme Court. We got Bush and war for 20 years. Vote carefully, everyone. You know, Andrea or Andrea, I don't know. It could go either way. 2000 was a different story. 2000 was, yes, it was a lot of factors. Maybe it was Nader, but I'm not going to say that Nader wasn't a spoiler candidate, but 2000 was 1,000,000% stolen. It was stolen. It was the Bush dynasty. It was the Brooks Brothers rioters, all of whom are now in the Supreme Court. It was the rat fuckers. It was the Roger Stones. And yeah, okay, maybe some people voted Nader, but like, it was a coup. It was an absolute coup. 2000 was a coup. 2004 was a coup. There was some fuck shit happening with voting machines in swing states in 2004. Harper's Magazine had an excellent deep dive into that. One day I'll do that, maybe for a bonus episode, because we all need to remember how utterly corrupt 2004 was. But look, y'all, I'm just not going to say to vote third party. You know, I just won't. I will say that voting in a general and for president, it's like flossing and paying taxes, right? I've said it before. You don't want to do it. It's a chore, but you do it. You don't think a lot about it, especially the flossing, right? You don't, it's not special. Nothing special about it, but we do it to mitigate gingivitis, i.e. Donald Trump. Mitigate future harm, i.e., you know, gum recession. Is that the same thing as gingivitis? I don't know. I think they're a little bit different. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.